The North Texas leader of a far-right anti-government militia once again tried to get out of federal custody while he awaits trial on seditious conspiracy charges for the Capitol riot.
His lawyers argued he's not a flight risk and suggested he stay on a property in California with family members. Another hearing is set for Friday. Fox 4's David Santendry has the very latest on the case. David.
Well, last month, a U.S. magistrate in Plano attempted to did keep Rhodes in federal custody until trial. That was the decision partially based upon testimony of his estranged wife, who claimed that he was planning an attack, that he was abusive toward family members, had booby traps on his property, and even was coming up with ways he could escape if need be. Now, his attorneys are trying again, and for right now, a federal judge is considering it. Oath Keepers, a far-right militia, claims to, quote, defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. The feds, however, say its leader, Stuart Rhodes of Granbury, mobilized and equipped hundreds of rioters at the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. He's charged with seditious conspiracy. A federal judge in the District of Columbia is now debating whether to release Rhodes from custody while he awaits trial.
I don't think he's a risk if he's released, especially not under the conditions that Judge Mehta is going to impose.
Rhodes' attorneys spoke with Fox 4 following a federal hearing Wednesday. They want the judge to grant Rhodes house arrest at his cousin's home in California with a number of restrictions, including no access to internet. They believe he's not a danger or flight risk.
He is on a list for flying whereby he gets interviewed by DHS before he can even get a ticket. That's been that way for a while. The government's aware of it.
They say he wants to go to trial and testify.
He said there's just no way wild horses will even keep him off the stand.
Federal prosecutors are trying to make a case that he's a danger to the community. They say Rhodes previously said he was prepared to do battle to stop the transfer of power at the Capitol. The government says if released, he could communicate with dangerous people. The feds already seized a storage unit full of his weapons. They are unclear if he has more weapons. Prosecutors say prior to January 6th, Rhodes communicated in a chat room about a need to go into the Capitol.
The defendant says words to the effect of, I think Congress will screw him, meaning President Trump, over. The only chance he has is if we scare the shit out of them and convince them it will be torches and pitchforks time if they don't do the right thing. But I don't think they will listen.
In a memo sent to the court before the hearing, Rhodes' attorneys admit he rallied militia to go to D.C., but say he did not order them to storm the Capitol. They also argue he's not a flight risk because the FBI knew of his involvement months before his arrest, even interviewing him. It argued he doesn't have a passport and that he's too recognizable now because of media coverage. Rhodes' attorneys say their client is, quote, meticulous about following the law and was doing so on January 6th. We asked if he has any regrets about that day.
He believes he didn't do anything wrong that day. There are things that will come out as we go further, but we're not ready to comment on that this time.
The judge says they will reconvene Friday afternoon to make a decision. Right now, they are interviewing those family members who Rhodes will potentially be staying with if he gets out on house arrest. So the trial is expected for July 11th, and Rhodes is facing up to 20 years in prison.